Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is co-host Andrew Griffin. We want to wish Garrett Punchy Dell speedy recovery. He plans to join us again next week. Hopefully he's able to do so. So Punchy, forward to having you back very soon. Well, Andrew, it's been an interesting weekend of football, or interesting week of football. We had Hamilton Parish and Social Club play earlier in the week. In the Premier Division, we had our first division match between Vasco and Robin Hood. Then on Friday night, we had a match between North Village and PHC. And then, of course, we have matches today. And the final Premier Division match is scheduled to get underway at 6:30 this evening over at the BAA Field between the Dendy Town Hornets and the St. George's Colts. But let me just run down the results we have thus far from matches played this week. It was in the Premier Division. It was Hamilton Parish 4, Young Man Social Club 1, PHC Zebras 1, North Village Rams 1, Devonshire Colts 2, Paget Lions 2, Devonshire Cougars 2, Wolves 1. And then in the first division, it was Vasco 0, Robin Hood 3, Somerset Trojans 1, Crossroads 2, Boulevard Blazers 3, Southampton Rangers 0. And we'll start right off the bat with the game midweek where Hamilton Parish defeated Young Man Social Club 4-1. Where basically Hamilton Parish was looking to get themselves off the bottom of the table, to give themselves, or out of that relegation area, to give themselves a little bit of cushion. Coming off of some positive results in the last few weeks, but to turn around and defeat Young Men Social Club by a score margin of 4-1, it must say a lot for what I guess Sergio has been hoping for quite some time from Hamilton Parish.
Yep, and I just can't quite grasp which Hamilton Parish is going to show up each week. They seem to make a monkey out of my picks every week, so I think I may have to flip a coin next time I pick in a game that Hamilton Parish is involved in.
Yeah. And I said at the top of the show, Mr. Bill is out with an injury. He will be back next week. So, yes, we know. The Papas are winning now, so the hot. So. Yeah. I mean, but a team like Hamilton Parish, you could never really count them out. I mean, you take a pick, each week. You just never know which team, like you said, which team is going to show up. There's always hope for them, no matter when they play. But it's just like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. If they can be more consistent, I think they can get themselves out of the hole they've dug themselves in. It's not going to be, an easy task, but they're within striking distance of the team just above them. I mean, they put themselves into 8 points with Social Club on 10 and Devonshire Cougars now on 10 after their victory today against Wolves. Wolves have got 7. So the bottom, if you look at it, right up to St. George's Colts, currently, they have 12 points. So, a victory for any one of like Paget, Devonshire Cougars, Social Club puts them ahead of St. George's. So nobody's really out of it right now.
Yep, and I think Sergio always will have Parish ready to play. I guess it's just a matter of what players he has at his disposal. But whoever he puts on the field, I think he'll definitely give him a first shot to win.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's turn our attention to the game on Friday night where PHC hosted North Village. Conditions would have added to the drama of the match, which ended 1-1. I mean, it rained all day on Friday. It was raining during the game. Obviously, the teams, you have to adjust to conditions. PHC got an early goal. North Village equalized, but no more goals. But these two teams, a lot of people are looking at them because they're basically going to battle it out for that title. and depending on what the Dendytown Hornets can do, it could be those two teams to say who's going to win the title.
Yeah, I think you have first and second place playing each other, so you would think it's going to be an evenly contested game, and so 1-1 is not surprising. So again, I think I made that pick with my heart instead of my head. So your pick of a draw was much smarter than mine. You picked more sensibly.
Well, I mean, based on the way the two teams play, even when one team's not really playing well, but when these two face each other, they kind of really pick it up and don't want to lose to one another. And especially if you look at Trey Meeing, who was with PHC for a long period of time, he ended up scoring against them on Friday night. So, and he's always worked up when he faces PHC.
Yeah.
So, it just adds to the drama of the match.
Yeah, it's always a good rivalry, and it's most games are entertaining. Like, despite the weather conditions, the game has a lot of pace, and the players really apply themselves because they know that it's going to be a tough game. I think they bring the best out of each other.
Yeah, and we do want to let the viewing public know that the senior men's national coach Michael Finley will be joining us at the bottom of the hour to discuss, obviously, the upcoming matches with Honduras. But we'll talk to him about players in and out of the squad. So that'll be at 6:30. So let's turn our attention to today, Griff, in the Premier Division, up at Police Field. Devonshire Colts and Paget. Paget, another team, just like Hamilton Parish. You don't know which team's going to show up. They just came from behind to draw 2-2 with Devonshire Colts. Devonshire Colts, the top half of the season, the first half of the season, they remain in fourth place. They're tied on points with Dendytown right now. But Dendytown, as we said, will be playing a game in about 20 minutes over at BAA against St. George's. So anything's possible. Devonshire Colts have got their point for the day. Paget's got their point for the day. They're 1 point behind St. George's.
Yeah, because the last two games for North Village that I attended were against Devonshire Colts and against Paget. North Village defeated Devonshire Colts and lost to Paget. So I got to see both of these teams, and they do play well. Both of these teams, well coached, and they're gonna give it the whole each time. So this result seems about right. So it's a good point for both of them, if you ask me.
Yeah, the things that I guess teams will be looking for. Again, we talked about it last week, and you look around and you say, well, who can I get 3 points from, and who can I get 8 point from? And both of these teams would, although they got a point off of each other, both teams would have been saying it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's situations like this where they're gonna look back in February, March when everybody's fighting for that last spot to stay up. That they can look back on this and think about the missed opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. And then there was the match between Devonshire Cougars and Wolves over at the Devonshire Recreation Club. Wolves scored first, but Devonshire Cougars were able to come back and score 2 goals to claim a 2-1 victory. Wolves, again, a fighting spirited team. I guess we could say just bad luck again in the game today.
But I think we would expect Devonshire Cougars to win this game. So I think, and at the beginning of the season, I don't think Wolves would have thought that they would have gone to Devonshire Rec and beaten Devonshire Cougars. So again, I think for them it looks like it's a bit of improvement, and they will be glad for that point.
Yeah, well, they would have been glad that they only lost 2-1, where they didn't get a point, where they languish at the bottom of the table. At the beginning of the season, I couldn't see Wolves even getting to 7 points at the end of the season. But here they are just before the Christmas break, 7 points. But they are at the bottom of the table. They have 2 wins, one draw, and 6 losses. Devonshire Cougars are a bit of a surprise because they've played the 8 games, got 3 wins, 1 draw, and it's the 4 defeats. 4 defeats, and they've given up 15 goals, but only scored 14 goals. It's something of a shocker for Devonshire Cougars to have lost these 4 games.
You go the whole season and expect them just not to lose 4 games, but it's abnormal.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way for them.
Yeah, I think they have enough firepower to get out of the relegation battle. It's a matter of what they want to achieve for the remainder of the season, because ultimately you have to go back to the drawing board and you have to be realistic. Okay, what can we possibly do right now? There are 9 points with a game in hand away from the leaders. If they manage to win that game, then there's 6 points away from the leaders with everybody still to play in the second half. Anything's possible, but you got to be realistic. If you're giving up 15 goals in the first half of the season and you've lost 4 games, primarily what happens over that Christmas break kind of sets you back even further.
Yeah, so it's key what happens over Christmas. They could get on a run, or they might, because of the more games of the holiday period, they may come away with some more injuries. So it's key to get through the Christmas period to see how they're going to do for the second half.
Yeah, and for them, it's we always look to see who's coming back, who is overseas in their team in school or whatever, coming back to play during this period, or are they stuck with the nucleus of players they have that, again, there's, like you said, there's a amount of games that they will play over a period where we have friendship coming up, and we have all sorts of things going on, and the other problem is if you get knocked out early and you're not playing at all,
you got a little bit of free time over the holiday.
But you know what free time does?
you eat a little more turkey.
It could technically work.
Show up.
It could technically work against you. Yeah, it could work against you, especially when if you look at teams when things are not going well for them. A break is probably the worst thing you want. A long break is probably the worst thing you want, because I know some coaches want to keep the team going, keep them as focused as possible. When you let them go away for a week and a half or 2 weeks, oh man, it's almost preseason again, and come January you can't be in the preseason mood.
Yep. I also want to add, I have been told that Bernard Park will open back up over the Christmas break. So it looks first that the lights are finished, and it's expected the Boxing Day game will be held at Bernard Park.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Good stuff. Okay. But we're going to take our first commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk First Division. And we're going to be joined by the men's senior national coach, Michael Finley, at the bottom of the hour. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
This holiday season, Lindo's is making shopping easier than ever.
Introducing Drop It's fresh new website launching December 3rd. Shop your favorite Lindo's grocery online anywhere on the island and have them delivered right to your door. This year, stay fresh for the holidays with Drop It. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Beneath the cloud blue sky, where the ocean meets the line, and the long tail fly in Bermuda. Our hearts belong to this beautiful island. As an island, we are strong, proudly Bermudian. In every single way, from the sunrise to the sunset, and every single day for over 135 years. It's been clear, it's silence, proudly Bermudian. Bringing us near. Cause we are proudly Bermudian. Digital is proudly Bermudian. Digital is proudly Bermudian.
And welcome back. Well, in the first division, we had that midweek game between Vasco and Robin Hood. Obviously, Robin Hood now have players back from overseas. As we saw that young Hayden Dill, who's over in the UK in school, got on the score sheet. So they'll be stronger over the period of the Christmas break. And obviously Vasco, we another team, we're not sure, what you're going to get because they have so many young players in their team. If things are not in the way, they tend to not be able to stick in. I know their player coach Leo can carry some of the weight, but you can't carry it all on your own.
Yes, Earl, I want to remind you in this game, we picked differently. And would you tell everybody who picked correctly?
You picked Robin Hood. Yeah, you picked Robin Hood. I took Vasco. Yes. Yes.
Last week, what was your thoughts based on?
So what?
Say that again.
Well, basically, coming into the game, Vasco was coming off of a victory, and Robin Hood was coming off of a heavy defeat. And I looked at it as, Robin Hood would need to do a lot of work, and without knowing that they had players coming back, which is a plus for them. It works out in their favor. So good for Robin Hood, and let's see how long these guys are here for, and they can help them get into a promotion race, which ultimately that's what they come on.
Yep. So my thinking was the big loss they had against Somerset Eagles. I thought it was an anomaly. I figured that they could play better, and the coach would get them up to play for this game. So luckily for once, some of my thought process worked.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Then obviously, turn our attention to today's matches, where up at Somerset Cricket Club, league leaders Crossroads are taking on fourth place Somerset Trojans, and Crossroads will get a late winner to defeat Somerset Trojans 2-1. Again, a surprise for Somerset Trojans at this time of the season. In the first half of the season, to have lost 3 games for a team that just got relegated and basically had the same nucleus of players. It's kind of shocking that they have 3 wins, 1 draw, and 3 defeats. Conceded 9 goals, scored only 13, and got 10 points, and they're 9 points behind Crossroads.
I think, well, again, for this game, we both picked Crossroads, and based on form, Crossroads are very strong and should be the favorites to get promoted. So I'm not too surprised at the result. I thought the result would be bigger based on form.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to be a big score, only because I know Somerset have a lot of pride in playing at Somerset, so they're going to give almost 200% at Somerset. Not saying that they don't give the same on the road, but I know, but the thing is, of Somerset's faced some adversities at home. They lost to St. David's, they lost to Boulevard, now they've lost to Crossroads. When you start adding these things up, it's not good, because they at the beginning of the season, they would have been in the talk with a team like Crossroads to get promoted right off the bat. But so far, it's not happened. It's been a struggle for them. And I think within the team, there are doubters right now within the team.
So let's be realistic. Do you think they will fight for promotion spot?
Yes. And the reason I say that is because I think they'll have some players return home over this Christmas break that will end up having players to sit out, and those players would want to prove to the coach when their next opportunity comes that they deserve a spot. So I think they will get themselves back into it. So yeah.
I'm a little more.
I don't put them in the title race. I
Right.
do put them in the promotion battle, along with Boulevard. Yeah, along with Boulevard and possibly St. David's, but and maybe Robin Hood. But yeah, I put Somerset in that battle as the season would wind down at the end of March. So interestingly enough. But then I just mentioned the team. Yeah.
At the risk again of pissing some fans off, I don't think Somerset can do it. Like your record is what your record says, and I can't see that the form changing that dramatically to turn it around. So I think this will be more of a learning year for the players.
I don't know how much more learning you can get in the Premier Division with the same team. It's just one of those things. I personally think that at the beginning of the season, a lot of their players thought the first division was going to be a cakewalk, and they didn't put in all the effort and the work in that was required to get the job done. I could be wrong, but I think that's been the case. And now they're in a hole, and it's going to be difficult to get themselves out of that hole to try and get into a promotion battle. But I have faith that they will get into a promotion battle. And so I'm strange for somebody.
As the saying goes, adversity is a good teacher.
Well, that's true. So true. We just mentioned the Boulevard Blazers, who are in second place. They came away with a 3-0 victory over a Southampton Rangers team that are rock bottom of the first division. The Boulevard Blazers, I remember a couple of seasons ago, when Jomar was coaching them, Jomar was trying to get them to play a different style of football, and we battled back and forth, and basically each team has a style, and if you try to take them out of that style, it makes it more difficult. And since Jomar's been out of Boulevard, you've seen a complete turnaround. They just missed out getting promoted that year after they let Jomar go. They just missed out getting promoted last year. And it all came down to just players being allowed to express themselves, and here they are in a position now to be in that promotion battle, but then the driver's seat this time. A lot of times in seasons going by, they've been trying to play catch up.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Looking at our picks, we both picked Boulevard in this one. So, and based on form, it's not surprising. This was probably our easiest pick of the week because Boulevard, yes, is contending to be promoted, and Rangers are at the bottom. So the form, the results stop to form.
Yeah. I mean, you look at a team like Rangers, their program has almost, for them to be at the bottom of the first division table, you look at their program, it says a lot because I think they've just gotten their youth program back up and running, which is, I think it's under 13 or something like that, or could be under 15, but it's a big gap. And if you don't have a nucleus of players coming through your program to filter into your first team, your entire program kind of ends up stuttering. And I think that's where Southampton Rangers are in now, in a startup position, and in both sports, to tell you the truth, in football and cricket. I mean, a lot of the footballers play cricket, and I think now they're fighting that battle of fitness because they played a long season in cricket.
So, well, I think what you're saying is very true because you only have to go over the hill to where the neighbors are, PHC, and PHC has a thriving youth program, and most of the players in the Warwick, Southampton, Paget area are there. They have tons of kids. So that if they have all that talent from young, it's going to filter into the premier team, and they will always have a pipeline.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the clubs that have been able to sustain themselves over the years and be successful, not necessarily having to win the league every year, but they've always been able to have a team that's always been threatening. You look at the program, the youth program, and they've been able to basically, sustain themselves, and you look no further than a team like PHC, like a North Village, like a Dandytown. Cougars had a program, but that's now and it's a reflection of their senior team. That's started. St. George's up and down with theirs. They have a program. St. David's have now got a program. Hamilton Parish used to have a youth team in each division. That doesn't look like it's happening anymore, where they only have certain teams in certain divisions, in the youth divisions. But, it all starts basically at the lower level, at the youth level, which filters into your senior team. So the teams that constantly are on the verge of doing well have those backbones of a youth program in place.
But at the same time, you have a lot of these academies or football groups that are not necessarily associated with a club, and they will develop the youth players. So should the clubs invest deeply in a youth program, or do they allow these splinter groups to do it for them and then try to recruit those players when they are of age and to play premier or adult level?
Yeah, but that was just the thing. A lot of times, and I know the association was looking forward to it. They were saying that these academies should be affiliated with a club, and I think if you look at it, the Warwick Academy the Warwick Football Academy, associated with Robin Hood, and FC Bascom was associated with BAA. Now BAA don't have a team, so who does Andrew have his team affiliated with? And that's obviously the look that has to come with it. So we're gonna take our second commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna be joined by Michael Finley, the national head coach for the men's senior team. We'll be right back.
Over the pink sands, beneath the clear blue sky, where the ocean meets the land, and the long-tailed fly in Bermuda. Our hearts belong to this beautiful island. As an island, we are strong, proudly Bermudian. In every single way, from the sunrise to the sunset, and every single day, for over 130 like Bermudian, bringing us men. Cause we are proudly Bermudian. Digital is proudly Bermudian. Digital is proudly Bermudian.
They're just putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
This holiday season, we gather with grateful hearts to celebrate the gifts of family, friends, and faith. Lindo's is here to help you fill your home with warmth and joy, from traditional holiday dishes to festive treats that make every gathering special. However you celebrate, let's help make it memorable. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, we are, as indicated, we are joined by the men's senior national coach and Michael Finley. Good evening, Mr. Finley. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm well, thank you.
Good evening.
Good. Well, top of the season to you. You're back in Bermuda for a brief moment. What? Obviously, we know we have this very, very important match against Honduras coming up in order to progress through this Nations Cup. How do we prepare for that? How do we ensure that the best players are available or have had a look at during this period of time, especially when we have so many young people who are abroad in school now back on the island?
Yeah, I mean, the first 6 months actually of 2025 are quite exciting for us and Bermudian football and the fan base, because you've got first and foremost the Gold Cup playoff, which you've just mentioned, against Honduras, a home and an away match. We then progress into June, which is match 3 and 4 of the World Cup qualifying to qualify into round 3, where we play Cayman Islands here in Bermuda, and then we will go to Cuba. A victory in both those games would put us in second place, which would then qualify us for round 3. We're taking it one sort of event at a time. That I think, as it relates to your question, we're constantly evaluating and constantly in contact with all of our players. That's one of the reasons I'm here currently, was to speak to some of our domestic-based players. Also have a look at players playing on island over the weekend, which I've done and will do. We need to formulate a strategic plan and a tactical plan that is going to give us the best chance of being successful. There's no doubt this is an incredibly difficult challenge, an uphill challenge when you're playing a country of the quality of Honduras and the experience and the professionalism. They've just come off losing to Mexico in the quarterfinals of the Nations League. So, we have put ourselves in a position where we are playing meaningful games, but they're going to be very difficult games. And I think the most important thing for us right now is making sure our mindset is correct and the condition of the players is at the best possible level they can be. which puts a lot of it and a lot of the onus on them as individuals.
Okay, Coach Finley, last week we had Zico Lewis on the show, and he spoke about sometimes the difficulty in juggling club versus country and managing it. Would you give our audience some insight into some of that, and also how you assist the players with this?
Yeah, Zico's correct, and Zico's a prime example of it. Nicky Wells is the other example. All of the players have these challenges. The reality is first and foremost, the ones that are full-time professional players, this is a career for them, and so they need to protect that career. A lot of our players are in situations where they're not on long-term contracts. And so what you need to do is make sure you give them the best possible opportunity to regain their position when they return from international duty. You give them the best possible situation to renew their contracts. And you also have to work with the club, and so they understand the importance of international football to them, because the value of that player rises when you play international football. The other challenge and the juggling act surrounds the fact that the vast majority of our players are playing in leagues that do not stop in the international dates. It's different for someone like Naki, because he's playing in the championship and they stop. But when you go leagues below that, those leagues continue to play. And that creates a difficulty because players are missing league matches, which means they are then missing opportunities to regain their place and keep their place. So it's not easy, but it's a modern day challenge that most international managers have now. No matter what level you're at. So what we've done is myself, along the rest of the staff, is we've always been very upfront and truthful with the players that we have interest in. We want to help them, but they also need to help us. So we do our best to negotiate our way through these situations, and we take each case one by one, because they may have different scenarios that are in front of them. For example, one may be in a cup match, for example, and that may get the next round, which might get them into an opportunity to be seen. So we want to manage that. It may be, for example, when you talk about Naki, he returns to Bristol City, but one of the challenges is that they're very specific about how many hours of regeneration and recovery he needs before he'll be put into the starting lineup. So the times that we've released him to go back have been negotiated with himself and the club. So it gives him the best opportunity to make sure that he's in the team, because we want him in the team, just like we want Zico Lewis in the team. And we do that when we know that the match that we're about to play, may not be the difference maker, if you know what I mean. So, it's not easy, but it's a reality of international football. We strive to have the best players possible available to us, but we know at times we need to juggle and manage very difficult situations.
Yeah. Over the last few weeks, we've seen Dale Eve not starting for his club. Is that a concern? I mean, because you want all your players to have some minutes in a game, but the last 2 or 3 games he's been a new substitute.
Yeah. Whenever our players are not playing, it's a concern to us. You've kind of stolen my answer there. We want players who are putting minutes on. One of the great challenges that we have as a group is that we need to be able to sustain 2 matches within the qualifying or the playoff scenarios. And that is very challenging when you're not playing 90 minutes week in and week out. Physical conditioning is a very big priority for us, because we feel strongly that that's one of our gaps is that we, as I said to someone the other day when we were having a meeting, if the games were 45 minutes, we'd be winning every game. So, but they're not, they're 90 minutes. So we need to find a way to extend our players' ability to play out 90 minutes and also be able to put back-to-back matches together. So yeah, it is a concern. I don't make those decisions, obviously, because I'm not the club head coach. We hope that they do get minutes, and when they do come to us, that's when we have to make certain decisions regarding who we select to play in each of these games based on that.
You have another question, Greg?
Yeah. How close contact do you have with a lot of the players' clubs and or schools?
Oh, very, very close. I mean, first and foremost, we compartmentalize into our playing group. So we have a long list and we have a critical list, we call it, key list of players who are really at the sort of, shall we say, the A group. And then we're in contact whenever we need to get information, regarding their current health. The beauty of the modern world is I pretty much can watch any game on the internet and through the technology that we have to our disposal. We see those performances. The one area that is very difficult for us is the school scenario, because universities don't recognize international football as it relates to releasing players, and I understand that. You have players that are going to school and they've gained scholarships, and schools have been invested in them. And so for example, you didn't see any of our university-based players during the September, October, November Nations League windows because that's their season. So that's when they actually play. And so it was very hard to get releases from them. And quite frankly, we have always planned around that those types of players wouldn't be available. Going into March, June, it's a different story. You'll be able to have access to some of these players if they meet the criteria and the competency levels that we demand. So that's a little bit of a different scenario as it relates to that. But hopefully over time, that means we don't lose contact with them. We keep a very close eye on them.
Okay. So do you feel you're missing? Go ahead, Carl.
No, good. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Do you, when those university players are missing, do you feel in any way handcuffed with selection, or you just accept it like that's just the playing field?
I think you have to really accept it. If I've been in international management for a number of years with 3 different countries, and it's been the same situation, whether it was with Canada or whether it was with Grenada and now with Bermuda. You have the same challenges, and so you expect that you're going to have to mitigate scenarios such as this. What's really important for us is this continuation of expanding our lists. In our meetings this weekend about 2024 reviews and planning for 2025 with the senior leadership of the BFA, one of the things we talk about is getting deeper and getting better. We had 34 separate players play for Bermuda in 2024. I give a stat all the time that every team that's qualified for the World Cup in CONCACAF over the last 4 rotations has used 35 players plus during that qualifying process. So we need to have a deeper group and a better group. So when there is situations such as university or a club conflict, you have depth and you're able to switch those pieces, and hopefully it's a very seamless transition of ability, and they know what they need to do, and they're completely attached and have been onboarded with the game model, and you're ready to go.
So,
it must be pleasing, Coach, to see Cole Hall back in action for his club.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very unfortunate situation. Horrible tackle, very, very unfortunate injury. But things football can be cruel at times. But the good news is that we for him directly have an incredibly competent medical staff, well taken care of. And then when he was sent back to his club, they would tick up that situation. But it's always nice to see injured players coming back. Another one is Lijan, after his injury in Saudi Arabia. I was with him this weekend. He's running again. I'm sure he'll be back into some form of actual training and competition in the coming weeks. That's very exciting for us to see him be able to rebound after that, which was also a horrific injury. So yeah, anytime a player comes back from those situations, it provides us with the depth that we're looking for. We, as I say to most people, we want dilemma. The coaching staff wants to be put into a form of dilemma. We don't want to just go, here's our 11 every time. We want to be able to be questioned by their performance, both at their club level and what we do in their international arena. So when we sit down and make our decisions with regard to the lineup, we have questions, and that's our job. And so the way we do that is making sure that we can, as I say, expand our long list and get better and deeper.
So having lots of choices is a good headache.
100%. 100%. We want to be able to be, international at any club, but at international play, you want to be 3 and 4 deep in international play, which might be, sort of underpinned by veterans, but also sprinkling of youth, so you can see a transition. Because what you're trying to do is eliminate these big valleys and gaps between the cycles. The successful teams in CONCACAF and international football transcend those things by introducing youth early, so they're onboarded and ready to go. So when it is time for someone to age out, or maybe competency drops, you're able to just drop that person in. So that's our goal.
What would you consider your biggest challenge has been since taking over this Bermuda national team?
I would probably say the overall mentality of the group. You had different ranges of people within the group, and what we've said to them, the very first get together I had with the players, I showed them a small video audio message which talked about thinking differently. I wanted to change their mindset as it relates to success and embracing the opportunity in front of them, playing without any fear, but most importantly, commitment and living a high performance lifestyle. And when you're not dealing with 100% full-time professional players, you have other realities you need to deal with: work, family, availability, conditioning. Those are all part of the package. And I always say, we might not be Mexico, US, Canada, Panama, but that doesn't mean we can't act like them. And so I think that was originally the biggest challenge, is to get people really thinking, not just in the windows that we play competitively, but what are you doing when you leave? Whether it is you're going to your club in the UK, university, or you're a part of a team like the game I saw today, with Devonshire and Pageant. What are you doing to make sure you're prepared if you're selected? And I think that is part of the goal of the BFA and all of its national team programs, but certainly at the senior men's level, from my position and my staff position, is we want people to embrace these opportunities, and you only can do that by sacrificing and committing 100%.
So, Coach,
Yeah.
I'm a former BFA treasurer, so I always dealt with the financial side of the teams. How do you feel working with a smaller budget?
Well, I mean, I can tell you first and foremost, I consider our group and our program to be working at a very high level right now. You always look, a coach always wants more money. And when I say that, I mean for like program money. Obviously, you always want more money as a coach too, but you always want more money. You're always going to push the envelope. But we've been very happy with the commitment that the BFA has made. We currently are wanting for nothing. They're constantly with us when we ask them for what we believe we need. We have a very, very solid support system around these players, specifically on the medical and the regeneration side with our staff. We are now in a better position in terms of what we do as a group when we get together, whether that be from a dietary point of view or competition point of view. Travel will always be a problem in CONCACAF. It's a problem for every team. But in terms of my position right now, I'm really pleased with the support the BFA has been giving myself and the rest of the group. And we feel strongly that this is probably one of the best national team setups that we've had in years in Bermuda.
So I know you probably can't answer this, but blink twice if you want a strong arm like President Wade for more money.
No, I really believe that we should be applauding everything that's going on as it relates to the work that you, and as you've said, you've been behind the scenes. You know what it's like. If you're in that game as a leader and as a part of a board of a football association, you're not going to get a lot of applause. You know, it's yeoman's work. And what I can tell you is that the BFA and President Wade and his staff have a great amount of respect within CONCACAF because of the efforts and the standards that they try to set. There's always going to be challenges, always. But in terms of what the outputs are right now, it's very good. It's very exciting, and it's something that we're pleased to have behind us. I mean, an example with that would be the invitation we got to go to Saudi Arabia for the FIFA series. They just don't randomly pick you, right? They pick you because they trust you, and they pick you because they see commitment. And they pick you because they see standards, and so that's something that needs to be applauded because we did get picked. You know, the qualifying tournament for the U17s being hosted here in February. There's a reason for that, right? They feel confident that the BFA can deliver. You know, so those are all really exciting parts of what, you know, hopefully the future brings at all levels, on both genders, referee, everything is football in Bermuda.
Yeah, I do want to ask you. You talk about the importance of what the senior men's team have for 2025, but they're not the only ones. We have the women have got tournaments to be played, the under-17s, the under-20s. How can you assist the other coaches in helping them to prepare for their tournaments as well?
Yeah, that's a good question and very topical, because that's one of the things we were talking about in the meetings this weekend. And I was, for example, this morning there's a D license coaching course going on, hosted by the BFA, led by Maurice, the TD. And so I made an appearance this morning to speak with the coaches about things. And it's the same with the other teams. Whatever we're doing at the senior men's team, it's our interest in being able to push that down onto the next levels, because that helps with the onboarding of the players as they come through. I'm not one to believe that every program should play the same way, because you may not have the pieces that can deliver on certain things, but the structure, the way you deliver your message, your organization, and your support system, that should be the same right through the whole program. And so slowly but surely, that's how we're trying to share that within the national teams program. It's a very open door situation with me. I've always been that way. I value coach education. I value the experience of people coming and participating and taking away what they can. So we'll do all we can to help. For example, the next group would be the U17s. And be able to, they will have the mechanisms that we use to their disposal.
Yeah. Well, Coach Finley, I want to thank you very much for joining us this evening. We look forward to your next visit and preparing the boys for that big tall order. The good thing, it's a home away with Honduras, and we get an opportunity to show the country here what these guys are capable of doing.
Yeah, and we looked the next part of this program is actually in February. We'll be running another domestic only development camp here prior March, where we're going to have time to work with our domestically based players and some of the players that have been identified through our ID process. And also, it may actually include some of the more gifted players that may come out of that U17 group to get some experience early with us. But that'll give us a good opportunity to see where we're at. And as you say, yeah, and we're just looking forward to competing. It is an uphill battle. You're going to be lying to yourself if you don't know that. But you know what? That's why we play football. I'd rather be playing Honduras home and away than playing a lower ranked team and just getting a result and playing for nothing, so to speak. We're in meaningful games in 2025 in the first 6 months, so let's embrace it.
All right.
All right.
Again, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Griff. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Island Stats Football Show at 6 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much.
Thanks, gentlemen. All the best.